Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Inner Peace, Better Health. I'm your host Sana, and today we have an extraordinary guest who's going to share his incredible journey of overcoming immense challenges through the power of meditation. Yes, you heard that right, meditation. So, listeners, please welcome Roy Coughlan. Roy is a seasoned serial entrepreneur with a remarkable track record of founding 20 companies across 5 countries. He's also a podcast coach and host with 6 podcasts consistently ranking in the top echelons of the industry. Roy's entrepreneurial spirit and innovative approach continue to inspire and impact audiences worldwide. So, everyone, get ready for a fun, cool, and engaging conversation that will leave you inspired and enlightened. Roy, welcome to the show, and it's an absolute fun to have you with us today.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Roy, can you tell us about the moment you realized meditation could help you overcome, uh, something as big as your $5 million liability?
Um, I suppose I could kind of give a little
Yeah.
synopsis of what happened. So I was doing a lot of real estate in Poland, and I had a lot of syndicates. So I had a lot of different companies, and I was the president of the companies. And when the crash happened in the States in '08, it took a while to kind of come across the pond. And I was actually doing very well because I was managing about 200 properties and about 14 people on my books. And a few of my investors started to get in trouble. And like we had one commercial property and they weren't able to pay their share of it. And I said, okay, look, once things get right, you can pay me and I'll put in the money and I'll charge you 10% interest. If you can't pay me, I'll just increase my share. So I was being fair with them because they had trust with me when we done it. They never got it right. Like some of them were worth 10 million, 20 million. One was even a physiotherapist. They even took our business offer. And eventually I started running low on money and I went to the banks and I had properties in Ireland and I said, give me interest only. And they refused. It was on interest only, so they had changed it to payments, which made it cash flow positive to basically costing me money, and the same with the other ones. And basically everything then started falling apart. And usually when you have a company, it's kind of like wash your hands and move on and then start again. But in Poland, when you're the president, you're personally liable. And the solicitors or the accountants didn't tell me that. So I ended up not only losing all my assets, but I was personally liable for 5 million. And I mean, through that journey, I came across kind of guided meditation. And it was like a 6-phase meditation. It's kind of what you're grateful for. That was the main one, because when you lose everything, it's you're thinking of lack, you're thinking of panic, you're thinking about how am I going to pay the debtors. And unfortunately, the way the system works, and I know this is an international thing, you get calls from credit card companies and banks, they just abuse you. It's kind of changed a little bit now, but in them days, it was no problem to be ringing you every day. And that wasn't very good for your psyche when you're trying to keep a roof over your head and food on the table. And just by being grateful for things, like that your child gave you a cuddle, that you food on the table, that you were able to survive. And that was one of the main ones that was very good. And another one was the act of forgiveness. So through all of the different things that happened, I saw so much corruption, like with banks, with courts, with everything, bailiffs, like basically bailiffs working with the valuers to devalue a property for half its worth. Bailiffs bribing people in the room so that they could buy the properties at a very low price. So they paid people in the room about £1,000 each, and then they got the properties at a fraction of what they were worth. So there was anger with me. There was some construction projects that didn't go well, and that I had anger from that. But what I realized is the anger was kind of within me, and the act of forgiveness. Some was easy. some was able to just kind of go, okay, I forgive them. I understand this. They were trying to do the best for themselves. But there was others, they were so big, it was very hard. And how I actually managed to do it is I brought him back to the child. So when you see a baby, we've unconditional love for a child. We just coo at a child. It's just looking at a newborn baby is so beautiful. And I brought him back to the baby, and I basically said they were born pure and sweet, and it was external circumstances that made them who they were, whether it was alcoholic parent, abusive parent, or even the parents were working so hard they took their eye off the ball and just let the child go in and hang around with the wrong people. But by doing that, I was able to forgive all of them, which in turn was actually me being free, because when you have anger, you're holding it inside. And then I was able to move on and just feel good. So that was one that really helped me.
Wow. Wow. What a journey. What a journey, Roy. Thank you, first of all, for sharing this with all of us. And secondly, lots of ups and downs, but, your grit and resilience with the help of meditation helped you navigate through this. So it's really a good lesson for all of us as well. So, how did meditation, some people think that meditation is just about relaxation. How would you respond to that perspective?
It's an interesting one because I think I kind of done my own journey and tried the different things. And then because I created a meditation podcast, and the reason that I did create the meditation podcast is the ones that I was listening to that helped me, they either disappeared or they became paid. And when you're watching every penny, you're not going to be paying for things like that. Maybe I should have, but it was like other things were priority, like, having rent and food and stuff like that. And like, for example, if I was on the beach, I could be just looking out at the sea and just kind of grounding myself using my feet and just being present and just paying attention to the waves, or just looking out into the horizon, or just being in the garden and watching the bees and watching the butterflies and stuff like that, and just paying attention to nature. And I think that's a form of meditation. And like, I've even discussed it with a lot of people. But for example, a lot of people, they don't understand why people go fishing. And they're just sitting there for hours. I think that's meditation. Some golf, because, some people go out golfing for business, for the conversation. But there are others, they're totally present. Is that form of meditation? I think it is. And if you look at them, some people, they say, I can't meditate, I just have too many thoughts through my head. So they have the belief that you just sit there in silence, sit in a certain way, putting your fingers a certain way, and you have darkness and no thoughts whatsoever. And that's not life. That's the reality is you're going to have thoughts. You just acknowledge the thoughts and then come back to it. And like, you can meditate for a minute or you can meditate for an hour. Some people have their own systems. What you do is find what's good for you. So I have meditations on my show from 1 minute to like 2 hours, all different types. Because sometimes people say, I don't have time to meditate. I said, you've 1 minute, don't you? And, like, even if you like the breath work as well, which is kind of connected with it, once you're breathing properly or just paying attention to the breath, if you're paying attention to the breath, you're not really paying attention to the other thoughts in your head. And it can be simple as just paying attention to your breath. And then you're just staying focused. And what you're really doing is, I believe, like, it's like slowing down everything. So sometimes people say, I don't have time to meditate. And that's the time you should meditate, because what happens is when things calm down and slow down, you get way more focused. You pay attention. Like, I've got a few businesses. I've got, as you mentioned, I've got 6 podcasts. I do a lot of things. And some people come along to say, I can't do one, and I gave it up and everything. And I think it's because I'm totally present with everything I'm doing. And I put that down to proper breathing, meditation, just sitting there in peace. You can lie down. If lying down feels better, lie down. If having your eyes open feels better, have your eyes open. If a certain music works for you, all you do is find something that works for you. There's a load of different apps. There's a load of different meditations. And sometimes people might go to a place and do a certain meditation, or they might listen to one person and their style, and it doesn't work for them. And then they tar the brush of meditation doesn't work for me. And that's like going to a restaurant and eating one meal. and going, I didn't like that meal. I'm never going to a restaurant again because, that will happen. So it's just play around with it. And what you'll find is you'll find something that works with you. Don't go ahead in. Sometimes people, they spend too much hours at the start and then they overwhelm themselves. Just walk. And I think eventually then when you're living, you're totally present. Like as I'm walking, I'm feeling to go. I'm just watching everything. I'm totally present with what I'm doing. I'm never thinking of yesterday. Oh, what if only, if only, if only. I mean, the old me did. When I lost stuff, of course you're thinking about, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. That's the way a lot of us think. Or you're thinking of the future. Oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? We worry about things that never happen. And when you're totally present, whether with nature, whether with life, you're enjoying the moment. So, for example, a load of people, they're building wealth to have this big house, this big car, but they'll neglect their family. And you really need that big house and big car. Wouldn't your family prefer that you're out playing ball, or you're taking them to the cinema, or you're playing a board game and stuff like that? Of course they would. And you have to get your look at everything. And I think by just being present and stepping back and kind of having a serious think about what you're doing in your life. Like, there's so many people, they hate their job. They, like, people working in corporations, the amount of people that I talk to, it's just a way of life. And I think by spending time with yourself and your emotions and your thoughts, you'll start changing that. And it's like I tell people, you're not a tree, you can move. So I know that some people are in a situation where they can't just change a job because, everything is tied to it, paying the mortgage and different things like that. But you can set up something on the side. And I think by kind of embracing meditation, you're calmer, you're learning, you'll retain stuff a lot better. And there's so much more that you benefit just by having a meditation daily. It can be 5 minutes in the morning or maybe in the evening. But I find as well, I mean, I'm sleeping perfectly all the time. I sleep very well. And I mean, I talk to a lot of people, and there's a lot of people struggle with sleep. So maybe if you're having trouble with sleep, why not try meditation? Don't be taking pills. Try meditation.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, Roy, meditation often impacts more than just our inner peace. How did your meditation practice influence your decision making and also problem solving? Which I believe one of the most important, skills an entrepreneur should have. That too during such a financially challenging period.
I suppose it's not firefighting because, especially an
Mhm.
entrepreneur, they tend to firefight. It's like, what's the problem? Let's put all our attention onto that. Whereas when you're in control, like my own kind of way I do things, I make a weekly list of stuff I type out that I know must be done. And then I kind of have a top 3 things. But I also like to write because I believe that the hand coordination, when you write things down, it works better with your mindset. And like, you're not panicking. Like, even say in a car situation, if somebody crosses you off, you're not reacting. You're not freaking out. You're not talking about it for the next 30 minutes. So many people do that. I mean, like, there's different ways of looking at it. Okay, you get the boy racer who just acts like an idiot. We've all seen that. But that's rare. But there's a lot of people, and you're kind of going, why did they do that? But we don't know what's going on inside in the car in front of us. They could have a crying baby. They could have just heard they've got some illness. They could have somebody that just died belong to them. They might have lost their job. We just don't know. And instead of having hatred for the person, just wish them well and go on. And don't, because if you're angry, and that's the same in business as well, like, don't be angry with things. Just kind of say it is what it is. And like, life has curveballs. No matter how good you think it is now, you think, oh, I have it sorted. You'll get hit with a curveball. It'll slap you right in the head. That's the way life is. It's a yo-yo. And what you'll do is you react differently to when you weren't in control. It's like you just accept it. You understand this. How can I adjust for this? And you don't go into panic mode. You don't go into depression where you're going into bed and sleeping the whole time. You just go, all right, this has happened. What's the best strategy for me to do it? Who can I contact? And you kind of have steps. So whether it's family, whether it's business,
Mhm.
you're more controlled in your strategy of the steps that you should take when something different happens to you.
Definitely, definitely. Very, very inspiring, Roy. Also, balancing a demanding entrepreneurial career and a consistent meditation practice can be difficult. It's not impossible, but it can be difficult in terms of consistency. How did you integrate meditation into your daily routine, while also managing multiple businesses?
Well, I suppose one thing I should say is I've equal custody of my son, my youngest child. He's 10. He's going to be 11 at the end of the year, and I block out the time that I'm collecting him from school, and nobody's able to book a podcast or a call or anything with the times that I'm with him. So it's every second day he stays with me,
Mm.
and it's like I do that with everything. And the same with the meditation. Like sometimes I just like it's like I wake up and I'm just relaxed and think. And sometimes there's times you will feel overwhelmed. You go, I have too much to do or whatever. And it's like you just take a step back and take a few breaths, maybe even 5 minutes, or go for a little walk. And then you're getting everything done. So like with meditation, I think we adjust it as we go along. And it's, like I've had this conversation with a lot of different people. It's not that you get, like, for example, the 6 phase was my thing at the start. I don't do that no more. I done it from a guided one that was about 20 odd minutes to then doing it in my head myself. And then it was just like, I'm just doing it differently. So, but I make sure that every morning, I don't just jump out of bed. I don't set an alarm clock. I wake up naturally, but I'm always just lying there. And that's my kind of moment of reflecting how I'd like the day to go and what I want. And I think that instead of hoping and wishing, I mean, you can think about it, because when you think about it, then you make a plan. And if you action the plan, then you'll get what you want. Instead of, sometimes people say, oh, have a vision board, and visualize it every day and it'll appear. Well, that I don't think that ever works for anybody that sits on the couch. You have to get up and do things. And it's like you get focused with your dreams. So whatever you want, whether you want to do a world tour or whatever is your dream, you can visualize it, you can think about it, and then you can say, how can I achieve that? And start breaking it down to the value that you need to get and how you can do steps like that. And just by going through that whole process, and I mean, like daily, I kind of think how my day will go. What's my day? How am I going to do it? How am I going to organize myself? Am I going to the gym, sauna, things like that?
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree with that. And before we wrap up, Roy, um, what advice would you give to someone struggling with their own financial or maybe personal crisis?
It's because there's millions and millions of people doing it, the way the interest rates went up and everything. And like, you have to kind of look at everything and put it down on paper even, and what's the highest interest rate you're paying, and just be strategic about doing it. And even if you owe people money, always take the phone call, let them know the situation you're in, because a lot of the times people, they don't take the phone call, they ignore them, they try to avoid them. And what I say is, I think majority of people have gone through some ups and downs. And if you're open and honest with people and say, listen, such a thing has knocked me off my routine. I'm in trouble here financially for the next few months or whatever time, and I plan to pay you back. So you be open and honest. Go in, if you have a bank, maybe you can move it around. Maybe you can try to get interest only, and just to be strategic in doing it and not be thinking of lack. Think of, okay, how can I make some money? Because money solves all problems. And put your energy towards making money instead of panicking about how you can't. And that way it should help you. And like, don't ever let it depress you, because it's just a number. And you have to when you're staying positive, you'll achieve positive results. I know it's hard, but just think about it, because you can't have two different thoughts at once. You can't have negative and positive at the same time. So start making yourself to be positive. Don't look at horrors. Don't look at depressing things on the news. Don't be watching things like that. Watch comedies. Watch things that are positive. Listen to good music that lifts you up. When it lifts you up, it puts you in good spirit. And then the negativity disappears. You go into positivity, and your creativity kicks in, and you start doing the things that will actually give you income and get you out of the hole that you're in.
Definitely. Beautiful, beautiful, Roy. That was so empowering, and thank you so much for such an insightful conversation, and also sharing your incredible journey with so many ups and downs. But for teaching us the power of meditation, grit, and resilience. So, if our listeners they wish to connect with you and also listen to all of your podcast shows, how they can do that?
They can just go to my name, roycoughlan.com. They'll find the 6 podcasts, my virtual assistants as well. If people are interested in getting virtual assistants and any other business that I'm doing, I always have it on roycoughlan.com.
Lovely. We'll have the details mentioned in the show notes. And listeners, that was Roy Coughlan for all of us sharing his story, which is a testament to the transformative power of meditation and resilience in the face of adversity. I'm very, very confident you all are leaving this conversation inspired and equipped with valuable lessons to apply in your own lives. And also, I would like to add that even in our toughest moments, tools like meditation can help you find clarity, strength, and purpose. If you enjoyed this episode of Inner Peace, Better Health, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little inspiration from Roy. Until next time, stay grounded, stay hopeful, and take care. Thank you.